Boom. What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and this is the Soccer Comic Rant. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that it's just me, Ian Edwards, United fan, and Lee Hudson, stand-up comic and Southampton fan. Just two winners from the weekend. This is a podcast of winners. Neil is not here, suspiciously. It's kind of suspect, his disappearance last minute. I don't know if it had anything to do with the fact that he's a Chelsea fan and that they lost to Leeds Southampton unexpectedly at home with a big-ass budget this weekend. We're going to probe into that more as the week goes on and find out exactly what this mystery disappearance of Neil is really about. We don't know if he could withstand the multiple questions that we were going to ask him, or if he's single-handedly just flew to England to make sure Graham Potter is fired and is not the next coach for the next game. We don't know if he's drinking all the booze that's usually in his backdrop of his Zoom. We don't, so we'll find all these things out, but we know that Chelsea lost and Neil is not here. So if you're listening, now you have all that information and you know it's just me, Ian Edwards, Man United fan, and Lee Hudson, Southampton fan, winners on this Zoom today. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about Chelsea lost to Southampton. We're going to talk about United just marching on, doing their things. You know what I'm saying? Ten Hag and like the team performing in above and beyond in ways that nobody expected. We're going to talk about Liverpool, 2 wins in a row. Ooh, Liverpool, what? And we're going to talk about Arsenal doing Villa, you know, and at the Villa in style. What a thrill of a game. And, you know, we'll mention Brentford, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Fulham. You know, we'll get into the Premier League, and we'll also talk about midweek matches, United versus Barcelona, the Europa League playoff, and then on the weekend, but I guess we'll talk about that in the midweek show, the weekend game when United plays Newcastle. And and I'll thank Liverpool for what they did to cripple Newcastle in the goalkeeper position in their game against them this week. That will kind of help their old foe, Man United, have a chance to win silverware this weekend. But let's just introduce victorious Lee Hudson. What up, fam? What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm feeling a little bit more positive than I did last week. But yeah, it's still, you know, it's a small step in the right direction. So I'm feeling good.
You're beaming. You got a smile on your face. You know, I can see your smile through your beard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're definitely, you know, in a good mood, and you should be. You should be. So I guess we should deal with the Southampton Chelsea game because, you know, both you guys needed to win for different reasons. And both you guys, you know, Neil and you support 2 of the main teams on this podcast, and you went head to head. And I just want to ask you some questions about this game, because I know you watched it. What looked better? Southampton style of play or your interim coach's suit? Like, which one was better on the day?
I mean, it's got to be the football. I love that Ruben dressed up for the occasion. You know, they say dress for the job you want, and he's been pretty vocal even before the game. He was saying, he goes, I'm ready. I want to be a manager. I've been preparing for this. He says, you know, I've been ready for this for the last few years. I've just been waiting for his chance. So, you know, he came out looking the part. Apparently the players mocked him a little bit for the suit and said they're going to buy him a new one, a nice one.
Hilarious.
But I mean, I would say keep wearing it until we lose. There's obviously some lucky superstition behind that. So keep wearing it, man. It's but no, I mean he
that
sort
suit
of
still has some of his old clubbing luck left in it.
Yeah, I mean the guy's young. He's only 39, so
Right.
he's probably out in the clubs after after the game. But no, he's got a wife and kids, so I'm pretty sure he wasn't. But I mean, he kind of took it back to the Hasenhüttl tactics. He went back to Hasenhüttl's old formation, the 4-2-2-2. Went with a high press. Like against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, it could be easy to just go there and try and sit and play deep. But we went and got in their faces. We tried to get at them. We tried to press them. We tried to force mistakes. We got a little bit of that out of them. There were times as well where we had to defend. Goal line clearances were getting made. Saves were getting made. Chelsea put the pressure on, but I mean, they still didn't do enough to score. We've kept 2 clean sheets against them this season, which, I mean, I know Neil moans about their goal scoring prowess or lack of, and he definitely was after that game. So, I think we both had 4 shots on target in total. So, they had more shots overall than us, but they just weren't clinical. And
17.
We were 17 in total, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had 4 on. Was it 4 on target each?
5 on target each.
5 on target each. Yeah.
According to Google.
Yeah. So, in terms of making the keeper work, we were pretty level with them on that. And obviously, when you've got someone like James Ward-Prowse in the team, when you get a free kick in that range, then there's every chance there could be a goal at the end of it. And thankfully he found the corner. And yeah, I mean, I kind of hate the way that we are over reliant on him for goals at times, but as long as someone's scoring them, then I don't care. Like if that's what it takes to win a game 1-0, then that might be the difference at the end of the season. I want other players to start chipping in. Sulemana had quite a good chance when he got the other side of Koulibaly early on in the game and then missed the chance and kept made the save. So it'd be good if other people started weighing in with the goals, because we need that if we're going to win other games, because we can't always rely on some Ward-Prowse magic. He's only 1 free kick away from equaling David Beckham's record now, though, of Premier League free kick goals. Beckham's on 18, Ward-Prowse is on 17, so I'm pretty sure he'll get there and probably overtake him, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, like I say, Maitland-Niles put a big block in the box. Roman Perro cleared one off the line and then started beating his chest afterwards. And there were some videos that some journalists took of our bench towards the end of the game, and all the subs were like cheering the team on and going crazy as well. So it feels like the new, the caretaker manager at the moment, which I think he will probably end up being the new manager, but he seems to have got everyone fighting and together, which couldn't always be said under Nathan Jones. He was always looking for a fight with someone, whereas Ruben Sellers seems like he wants to get everyone together and just create some togetherness, which is it's what you need in this sort of environment. You can't really start picking fights with fans and picking fights with journalists and talking all sorts of crazy shit in press conferences when you're losing games and stuff. So it's just it's a completely different atmosphere. In the space of a week, it's a completely different atmosphere around the team. There's some positivity now, but Leeds next week is huge. Because this win,
and they lost this week.
Yeah, and West Ham lost as well. But this win puts us back in with a chance. It's still not a massive chance, but it's a better chance than it was last week after the loss to Wolves. So if we can go and do something at Leeds next weekend, that would be huge. Like that would really give me hope that, we can turn this around. Because what I would hate is for this game against Chelsea to just be a one-off. Because I've seen it happen already this season. We beat Chelsea under Hasenhüttl and we thought, okay, this will be where we start picking up some wins now, and we didn't. We beat Man City in the League Cup, and then we beat Everton in the league, and I was like, okay, maybe we're going to get some wins now, and then we didn't. So this is where it counts now, where Leeds away, it's not going to be easy. They're down there fighting as well. They're without a manager at the moment. I don't know if they'll have someone this week. But if they hire someone this week, then, there's the potential there for a new manager bounce. So, yeah, next week's got so much riding on it. Because if we lose that, then we're sort of back in the hole again. Whereas if we win it, we could be, you know, in a much more positive position than we've been all season. So yeah, it's a real, everything's on it. Feels like it's on a knife edge at the moment. And I'm going to be out there when the Leeds game's being played as well. So I'm going to have to get up at crazy o'clock to
yeah. Now you're going to know how I feel.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to have to try and catch that game, and yeah, hoping it doesn't then ruin the rest of my day.
Oh, it will. It will. What you would call it? I'm looking at the table now, glancing down to my right, and you guys got 18 points. And like, if you win next week, and say if you play, I don't know, first next week, all right, and you have 18 points now. If you finish, you play first and you win next week, you could be in 16th place. So that's how tight this thing is, because you'd be tied with Everton on 21 points until they play later. And so you jump over Bournemouth, West Ham, Leeds, and you'd be level with Everton. And so who knows? And Wolves, I think they lost this week, so they're susceptible. So, you know, you have a chance. And, you know, there was a point this season when I was like, I think you guys are going down. And I wasn't hating on it. It's just like you had all the ingredients of the team going down. But
yeah,
one thing Nathan Jones said, and even a wrong person who's wrong a lot can be right sometimes, like, he was confident about the new buys. Like, and it was the only thing he was confident about. And you didn't have those buys when I thought, man, you guys are like, you're going down. So I don't know if this, you know, this guy might be your coach for the rest of the season just based on, I'm assuming Southampton don't have a lot of money or doesn't want to spend a lot of money. So they might be like, this might be the cheapest way out, you know? And if this guy can keep, you know, let's see if you can get a 2-manager bounce for 1 manager. And
I mean,
but you know, I would root for Leeds, but they don't have an American coach anymore, so there's no reason for me to root for them. Like, those American players are good, so they're going to get games in the Premier League and deserve games anyway. So that Aronson would be all right, McKennie would be all right, and Adams would be all right. You know, so Tyler Adams would be all right. So they just won't be on the same team probably, but they're definitely putting impressive performances every time they play. So there's no reason for me to like Leeds anymore without an American coach. So I could honestly be like, yeah, let me root for Southampton next week. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
my reason is gone.
We've got some money, but I don't think they want to spend too much on a coach, which I kind of get, because we ended up we paid 3 million to get Jones out of his Luton contract. We signed him on a 3.5-year deal, and then we fired him after 94 days. So I'm pretty sure he got the rest of his deal with us paid off, which I think he was getting paid 1.25 million a season or something. So we've probably paid about 6-7 million to get rid of this guy, or to get this guy and then get rid of him, which is a lot for a manager. But you know, Premier League survivals.
He can't hate Southampton too much. With that
he's pretty set, because I don't think he was earning that much at Luton. But you know, Premier League survival is worth so much money as well, though. So, you know, if they decide they don't want Ruben Sellers to continue, they need to make sure they pay the proper money to go and get the sort of manager that will keep us there. But at the moment, you know, because it's hard hiring when it's your 3rd manager of the season. It's hard hiring when you're bottom of the league. It's hard hiring this time of season. So I would rather we give him a chance than go and, you know, get someone like Lampard just because he's available and doesn't cost money to take anywhere. I'd rather have a guy who the players clearly like. At the end of the game, that the players were all pushing him to the front of the celebrations. They made him go over to get the adulation from the fans. They were like pointing at him, being like, "Yes, like go over." So the players have all spoken really highly of him, and that they love his sessions and they love the way he communicates and his tactics as well, the way he sees the game. And apparently for the last 2 weeks of Nathan Jones's reign, he wouldn't let Sellers do anything,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I don't think he liked him, or didn't like that the players liked him, kind of thing.
How did Sellers get
Um,
there? Nathan didn't bring him in?
no, he was brought in the summer because Hasenhüttl's staff were cleared out, and the board gave Hasenhüttl like a list of coaches and said, these are the ones we like. Are there any that you like? And Hasenhüttl essentially chose him along with the board. But he said he was texting Hasenhüttl before the game. Hasenhüttl wished him luck. And he was sort of, I think Sellers got on better with Hasenhüttl than he did with Jones, because he was sort of saying, you know, we need to go back to some of Hasenhüttl's tactics. We need to, you know, draw on what made us a difficult team to beat at times then. So, yeah, he's definitely got more similarities tactically there, but he still has his own sort of twist on it. But yeah, we were playing out from the back. We were pressing high. So he's bold. But like I say, if the players like him and the players buy into it, then that's huge at this stage of the season. Just you know, the players enjoying what they're doing and wanting to fight for the manager and be together as a team is going to be, you know, that I mean, that's the fundamentals that you need to build on to then get results.
Okay, so I don't know if this is a question or I just want to make a statement about Chelsea, because they were involved in this too. So maybe by the time I get to it, it'll end up being a question. But I do have a commentary on Graham Potter. Chelsea's 10th. And 10th would be good if you're Brighton. Like, if Graham Potter is 10th and he's coaching Brighton, he's like, oh, we're in a great spot. We're not going to get relegated. And I'm Brighton and we're 10th. But I think Graham Potter doesn't realize he's not coaching Brighton anymore. And I know that you have a lot of new players. The owner knows they bought your new players. And it's almost like they just hired him again, because the team that he started coaching a few months ago is not the same team. It's like they actually bought basically a brand new team, so he has to figure it out. And I know that he has the confidence of the new owners, but you can't make the mistake of thinking they're going to give you a bright amount of time to figure this out. Like, the owners, they're probably honest when they say, hey, man, we're going to give you time to the end of the season to figure this out. But Chelsea fans who are used to being in the top four, a lot of their moaning and complaining will bend the ears of the same owners who told you you got time. You have to realize where you are. You're at Chelsea. And you have to be more practical and more specific. And you have to pick a team that you're the most confident will give you a chance to win every week. You have to, like, doesn't matter how many new players you got, you have to skim that shit down to the people you think can gel the fastest and get you results. Because Chelsea is different from Brighton. Chelsea is a results team. Like, when Tuchel got there, the first few games were ugly, but he got ties and they stopped letting in goals. And then they started with the same group of players to learn how to win games and get full results. And then he learned the rest of the players from there. And that's the mistake Tuchel is making. That is exactly what Tuchel is not. I mean, I'm sorry, not Tuchel. That's the mistake that Potter's doing. He's thinking, I have all this time because they told me I do. You don't, because people up top change their minds all the time. They have enough money to fire you and try 3 more new coaches by the end of the season, bro. So your next game better be the people you think are your best players. And you have to be more practical and play them, that they get their chemistry together so that they can have the best chance to get you wins. Ten Hag, let me name some top coaches in the Premier League right now. Besides Pep, but even Pep, when he started at Man City, used mostly the same players every game. Klopp in his prime at Liverpool uses the same players every game. You'd see Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench. You'd see the guy. You'd see I forgot his name. He doesn't play for them anymore. You see Keita on the bench and good fresh midfielders on the bench, but Klopp would always use the same midfielders in all the competitions. You know what I mean? And he had players there that he got as backups. And Arteta is basically using the same core all the time. And the things that these teams have in common, they're using the same. Even Fulham, I know, I can guess every week who Fulham's going to start, and I'm not a Fulham fan. It's the same fucking players, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, this indecision and indecisiveness and playing with these toys is killing you. You need to give a certain group of players time and games to develop the chemistry that could keep you your job. This switching and swapping is not helping. You do not have the time they told you. You were in the Premier League before, but you weren't in the real Premier League. Now you're in the real Premier League, and you don't have the time that you had at Brighton Hove. So that's so maybe I answered my question, but my question, I guess, is what do you think, since this is the team you played, what do you think Potter got wrong this weekend?
I mean, it's a tough one because Neil was one of Neil's big beefs was that, like, he hasn't been playing strikers. He's been playing, Havertz as the 9 or false 9, and he dropped Havertz this weekend. He had him on the bench, and he played David Datro Fofana instead, who didn't really do much, but he's a young kid who's come from Molde, I think it was, in Norway. So he's not fully up to speed with the Premier League, and he's also not fully up to speed with senior football because he's like 19 or 20 years old. So it's a lot to put on him. I still find it crazy that Potter keeps claiming there's no personal issues with Aubameyang and then not playing the dude. Because, he scored goals at Arsenal, he scored goals at Barca. He's experienced, he's a good finisher. And when you're on top of games, but you're not taking your chances, I don't know why you wouldn't give a guy like that a go in the team. It feels quite strange, and it feels like there must be something personal. There must be an issue there that they're not talking about, because, to start a younger guy who hasn't got that experience and didn't really affect the game was strange. And then he ended up bringing him off and throwing Sterling and Havertz on. And Sterling looked good when he came on. He's not a forward, he's not a striker, but he's a good forward. So he caused us a problem. But they just didn't really have any cutting edge. The fact that we were able to ride out 12 minutes of injury time as well, when Chelsea were trying to throw everything at us and they didn't really look like scoring. So, and I mean, I hope Azpilicueta's okay as well, because that was a hefty boot to the face that he took, and that's why there was so much injury time. But I mean, they've got a lot of the ingredients of a good team, Chelsea, but they need to be clinical. It's, something we've spoken about before on the podcast, something Neil's constantly moaning about. But, we don't keep clean sheets. I think the last time we kept one was against Chelsea in the league anyway. So it's a bit crazy. I think that was our first clean sheet in so long. So, it's a strange one, because I don't think they're playing terribly. And I don't think they have a terrible squad, but like you say, they are chopping and changing quite regularly with the players. Like, he rested quite a few, like Thiago Silva didn't play this game, Reece James didn't play this game. Just a bit strange that he would, and like I say, leaving Aubameyang out when he's their only real experienced, recognised centre forward as well. It's all a bit, like, it doesn't look horribly bad on the pitch, but also if you take, because I know they speak about performances a lot, and that's what he said after the Dortmund game, but if you just look at the form and the stats, it's pretty atrocious for a team of Chelsea's size.
Yeah, I'm looking
It's
at the
pretty
stats right
bad.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
this shouldn't be the stats. 31 points is not this shouldn't be the stats of a team that spent that much money in just a fall window,
Yeah.
much less. Uh, let me. So what did Potter get wrong the worst? So, like how he coached the game, or what he said in the post game press conference? Like which one was his biggest mistake of the day?
I mean, it's got to be the selection, because then if the selection's right, then it doesn't lead to the way he had to handle himself in the post-game press conference. The post-game press conference was, I mean, it wasn't quite Nathan Jones levels, but it was showing it was showing signs. It was showing signs, and this is what happens when managers start feeling the pressure. They start losing their mind. We've spoken before about it, how they start losing their mind a little bit in the press conferences.
CTE, the CTE, they start giving those CTE press conferences. Yeah,
that's it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
even Pep isn't immune from that. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, and just the stuff he was saying about us as well. You know, when he said,
team.
and when he said, like, with the greatest respect, it's like, okay, well, this is clearly going to be a disrespectful comment coming here. And he said, yeah, with the greatest respect, if you're losing at home 1-0 to Southampton, things aren't good. So, I mean, I can't really. I know
it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's a shitty thing to say, but it's a shitty thing to say, but it's also not an untrue thing to say. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because he's starting to get the fans turning on him now. Like, I think there were always fans who were a little bit unconvinced by him, but the majority seemed to want to get behind him and give him time. And then, I mean, at the weekend there were boos after the game. There was a lot of fans calling into the talk shows and stuff, saying that, you know, he's not up to the job and that. And even if the board have sort of already made the decision in their heads that they want to stick with him and give him the summer and start next season and see how he gets on, if the fans turn against you and they're vocally turning against you, it becomes harder for the board to go, well, the plan is to stick with him until next season and see how he gets on after another transfer window and a pre-season with the team, because the fans just won't have that patience and they'll make it known. They're already starting to make it known, and it becomes, I mean, I saw it happen in a sort of microcosm with Southampton and Nathan Jones, because it all happened really quickly. The fact that he wasn't with us very long at all, but as soon as the fan base turned toxic, and the atmosphere turned bad, it's such an uphill battle to claw that back. And the only way you can is by winning games. And every week that goes by, he doesn't win a game. It just gets worse and worse. So, yeah, I mean, there's only so long you can be unlucky or have poor performances or have injuries to blame. And then, you know, you'll run out of excuses. And I think he's starting to get to that stage. So we'll see just how patient that Chelsea board are when the fans start turning, if they don't start winning some games soon.
Yeah, next week we'll know if Neil was successful in all his phone calls to the Chelsea board to get Potter out of there. Like, I'm sure he's busy. Like, get so and so on. I need to speak to the manager. I need to speak to the manager's manager. He's probably like going.
He probably didn't even need to do that. He's probably just trying to drive up to LA, because that's where Todd Bowley's based, isn't it? He's probably knocking on the door of Dodger Stadium right now.
Hilarious.
But I mean,
100%.
Just looking at the league, I mean, 10th place, like, it doesn't look good for them. Just trying to see, and they got Spurs next. That's a derby.
Yeah.
That's on Sunday. So yeah, I mean, Martin will be loving that.
Yeah, maybe we should all try to watch that together.
Maybe not, because it's an early game. That's going to be on at like 2:30 in the morning, I think, or something crazy.
No, the earliest game is always like 4:30 a.m.
or 4:30. I mean, that's still crazy early.
I'm normal. That's normal for us. That's the Premier League commercial out here. Like, people waking up early and getting out of bed and leaving their loved ones to go downstairs to watch the games. That's actually like the flavor of our commercials.
I mean, I'm on vacation. I'll be getting in at 4:30, so I'll be rolling in to watch that game. but yeah, I mean that'll be a big one, really big one at Tottenham as well. So there's a lot of pressure on Chelsea there.
Yeah, I said it last week. I was teasing. I was asking Neil. I'm like, you think Potter will keep his job if he loses to Southampton next week? No disrespect to you, but at the same time, I didn't even comprehend that the game was being played at Chelsea, or maybe I did say it, but it like you can't lose at. They would have been mad if he tied. If it was a 2-2 thriller, they would have been mad. So, but he lost. So
Neil is going to be joining us as well.
Okay, you said something in chat. All right.
Yeah,
he just wanted to avoid. He wanted to avoid the Southampton Chelsea part of the convo. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Let's move on to something else because maybe we'll end up going back to that. So let's just keep it moving a little bit. I'm trying to think what's the next important thing to discuss, and I guess let's go to the title race because Arsenal was facing a test after getting beat by the reigning champs, Man City, midweek on Wednesday. They had to play Villa at Villa, and Villa has a new coach, and that new coach used to be Arsenal's coach. He was the first coach to be hired after Wenger, and he was ceremoniously dumped out of there. They didn't give him a chance to really do what he wanted to do. And, so he definitely had a vendetta. And you could tell that he gave that rally speech to the Aston Villa players because they came out hot. And I've been talking to Lloyd about Villa. He's a big Villa fan, he was at this game. And, and I was saying that Villa, when I watched their games, when I watched Steven Gerrard coach them, there were things Villa was doing. And I'm like, how do you fix this? There was like there was like the team aspect, how you get the ball up the field, and how do you pass to each other, do combinations or hold on to the ball for more than 5 passes. Like, it was tough to have a more than a 5-pass possession for Villa. But now, leading up to this game, like Villa would show these flashes of attacking fluidity, like that's worthy of like some of the top teams in the league, and they would look really good. And if you look at Villa's 2 goals against Arsenal, they were class goals. They were the type of goals that top teams scored. So when they scored and it was 2-1, 2-2, he was like, Arsenal, like, if you lose this is the league, because, you could lose to City, but if you lose again to Villa, that's when next week you're really mentally on shaky ground. So they really needed to win this game. And they rallied back and they dug in. And then the third goal was like, you remember when Man City was being chased by Liverpool, and it was towards the end of the season one year, and Vincent Kompany just scored that banger out of nowhere.
Oh yeah,
That's what this Jorginho goal kind of reminded me of. And as far as that Jorginho goal, do you think it's fair that that's an own goal and off Martinez and like the class, the build up to that goal and the class of that shot? Is it fair that we call that, or they call that, an own goal? Like, look at that goal, and you'll be like, he'll never get. How does Jorginho never get credit for the goal that wins the game when he did everything to put it in the back of the net? Like, what do you think of like situations like that?
I mean, he got the assist technically, but no, I think it's right that it doesn't count as his goal. Like, it's a great shot, but it's still a shot that's not going in. Like, it's bouncing down and away from the goal, so it's hit the keeper to go in, and it's really unlucky on Martinez. But you got to admire Arsenal's fight for getting back in that game and wanting to try and grind something out. I thought Emery's.
I just started. I think Lee Harvey Oswald would have been proud of that shot. That's the shot that they're saying that Lee Harvey Oswald used to shoot Kennedy 3 times. When they say it was one shooter, one shot, and it's like, oh, that's now I believe that theory more than ever. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
Dear. I just meant to say, well, I mean, Lee Harvey Oswald is someone who, had a shot attributed to him that he probably didn't take. So,
Right, exactly.
whereas Jorginho took
We
the
saw
shot,
him do it.
He didn't hit the target.
Right.
But I found Emery's press conference really interesting when he was laying into Martinez for going up for the corner. I mean, it's the 98th minute. Why wouldn't you want your keeper up there? We saw with Liverpool once, Alisson went up there and scored him. And Martinez is a big dude as well. And he's like, he can play football. So like keepers cause chaos when they go up there. Even if they don't get the touch, they can distract some people. And in the 98th minute, I mean, I don't think you've got anything to lose. In the 98th minute, I find it weird if a keeper goes up like before the 90. If they go up at like 85 or something, and it's like, well, you still had time to make other chances. So if you concede like that, then I get it. But in the 98th minute, it doesn't make a difference. Either you score off the corner and you're back in it, or if you concede a goal and you're 40 down, well, you were going to lose anyway because you didn't score at the other end. So I don't think it makes a difference really. So I found that a bit of an overreaction from Emery there. It was a little bit weird, but I mean, I thought everything about Emery was weird on Saturday because I don't know who wears a bronze coloured gilet on the sideline. That was some wild fashion going on there.
That's hilarious. I can't even remember what he had on. A bronze coloured gilet just sounds funny.
It was pretty disgusting. It was very European, to be honest. Let me. I'll see if I can get a picture up quick. It's already. I started typing Emery gilet into Twitter, and I did Emery G, and it already started filling in the rest for gilet.
How do you spell gilet? I'll just type
Gilet, I think, or it might be double L. But it was pretty hideous. But I can't.
Well, I'm gonna type it in on it. How do you spell gilet? Gilie?
E-T. Gilet.
Oh, okay. Gilet.
But I can't seem to find a pic. There's loads of people like tweeting about it, but none of them actually posting a picture of it.
I've seen some photos, but it just looks like he's not a dresser. Like he's your new interim coach. He's definitely not that.
They're both Spanish.
Unai's facial expression just always convey pain, some sort of pain. Like he conveys like walking on a hot coal face. Let's see if I click images. Oh yeah. Oh, I thought this. Yeah, he looked like he's wearing a Ninja Turtle shell.
You found it.
Yeah. Because that did stand out to me. But I also noticed that he wears a blue version of that. So then he just wore the brown version. Yeah, because the
blue one looks fine. It was the color that got me more than anything. It was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, like he's wearing the inside of a Ninja Turtle, like on his body.
Just in case anyone is wondering, that's that's how it looks. It's just a weird look to have.
Yeah,
it was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, not great. But I guess one more thing about this match is that Arsenal showed their fight. Jorginho helped them, like he contributed. Partey's out, and if Arsenal lose this, they're gonna look at him as the bad luck charm for this team because he's the thing that they had in common in all the points that they dropped. So the fact that he actually helped them get 3 points is just whew for him. And as far as Emery getting upset about it being 4-2, I get what he's saying because it makes it look like they got their ass whooped. Like years from now, people just look at that score and say, Unai got his ass whooped. He got outplayed. in a game where I was talking to Lloyd, I was like, I said, how do you feel about this game? And we kind of agreed that Villa, just because you lose doesn't mean you play bad. The score makes it look like Villa played bad. But if you watch this game, they actually had a good game, because he's saying Arsenal is miles above them. You don't expect a Villa team to beat Arsenal. But if you saw the game, there's so much good play by Villa. And like, as I described, those 2 goals that they scored and just other things at balls that they didn't put in the net, they look great for them. So even though they lost and dropped all the points at home, this is great for them. It's just that the 4th goal is kind of demoralizing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what Gile, Emery, Unai did not want on the scoreboard, you know?
Yeah. No, like you say, that the goals they took really well. Watkins' goal was such a good finish. And you know, Bailey came so close with that one that Ramsdale pushed onto the woodwork. So you know, it could have been such a different story. You know, if that chance had gone in. So yeah, I don't think Villa should have anything to feel ashamed about. You know, I thought that was a really good performance from them. It just that, you know, Arsenal came out fired up in that second half, and towards the end of the game, they managed to scrap it and get it over the line, which, you know, they're a desperate team right now. So, you know, credit to them for doing that. But yeah, Villa definitely didn't disgrace themselves in that game at all.
No, they didn't. It's just the score looks like it did. If you're not paying attention. Trying to think where we should go next. So let's just go to Man City and the fact that they created so many chances against Forest, and like crazy chances, and like Haaland like put one over the bar, like right in front of the goal. But also Forest did something in the transfer window. They got one of the best goalkeepers in the last 10 years to join their club on loan from PSG. And that's a factor, because he was in the right place at the right time for some of the missed chances that City had, or caused some of those missed chances. He's the reason why Man City could only score 1 goal out of the many chances they created, which kept Forest in there for that 1 goal that they did score. And so kudos for Forest for hanging in there. I'm sure Nottm Forest are getting like a bunch of like gift cards and presents from a certain part of London right now. Like it's like a surprise. You know, they're gonna open the door and see flowers and think their girlfriend is cheating on them, the players, and it's like, no, I got it from London somewhere. Somebody sent these over and said thank you. You know, so yeah, Forest, man, like pulling out a point out of literally nowhere against a City team that was bombing them, like just running sorties on military sorties on them, like on a disrespectful level. Like they was like going at them. So kudos Forest, you know, just for, you know, they're trying to not get relegated too. So they had a reason to fight for something, and Man City had even more of a reason to fight for something, but just couldn't get the ball in the net. And it's just one of those games. And I think it was Woods that scored. So it's funny that he came from Burnley to Newcastle and got transferred at the transfer window in January to Forest, because Forest will buy anybody. Like, you available? We'll take you. So, you know, one of their buys, you know, helped, you know, their January buys helped them get a vital point that they needed.
Come join the 50 other signings.
Yeah, come join the 50 other signings. Like, but we know how to use you better than Chelsea does. Don't worry. So Forest are in 13th place with 25 points. Just checking that. Let me just go back to the matches. We did. Let's let's go to United. Did you get a chance to see it?
Yeah, I was out today, but when I got in, I've been able to watch the game, catch it up. Yeah, really interesting game.
So my question: what you think about us, man? You know, I don't want to be the one to. I mean, in general, you know, what you think about?
I mean, obviously, you know, Ten Hag's changed the team around, which was bold. But obviously, you know, you guys are in different competitions. You got cup final coming up. You got, you know, the second leg against Barcelona coming up, and you know, you're trying to stay in the top four, and you know, maybe even keep pace with the teams ahead of you as well. So I can understand why he would rotate. Like I say, I thought it was a bold call to do. But
tell me some of the bold calls that you thought were bold.
I mean, shaking the defense up, putting Lindelof back in against a team that have got firepower. Because the thing with Leicester is they're a bit shaky at the back, but they've got players who can hurt you. And I think we saw that early on because, you know, the team shuffled up a bit. Your defense was a little bit like people didn't quite know where they should be or weren't tracking runners and things. And I think you get that when you don't have the same back four every single game and they start developing a bond. When you start changing people in and out, you know, if you had Varane in there instead of Lindelof, it might have looked a little bit more cohesive. But, you know, when you got De Gea in the sort of form he was in, you can ride that period out just because, you know, that save from Harvey Barnes with his leg or he got the hand down was such a great piece of reaction goalkeeping. And then the header from Iniacho, I mean, that was a world-class save to get his hand back across and claw that one out from off the line. So, yeah, I mean, that's what he's there to do. And, you know, everyone knows on his day he's world-class and his form recently has been pretty good for you guys. So, you know, he helped you through that rocky period towards the start of the game. And then after that, you know, we saw what United have been doing great this season, which is supplying Rashford. You know, Bruno with that ball for the first one. As soon as Rashford got in there, you could see like he knew exactly where he was going to put that ball. There was no like indecision. There was no hesitation. It was just, I'm going to get this. I'm going to take the touch out my feet, get it into the box, and then I'm going to hit that corner. And he did. And that was, just a really, really, really good goal from him. The second one as well, like obviously he's towed it fine on the offside trap, but he's onside because the guy in the middle is keeping him on. And then he's finished that one well under the keeper as well. And then I really loved the third goal as well. Such a nice, like slick flowing move. And then for, you know, the ball to go out to Bruno and then he's just put it back inside and just first time from Sancho as well. You know, it's good to see Sancho back in the team and looking like he's enjoying playing as well, because it's never easy to make the decision to do what he did, where he went away and got his head right and got himself right, which you know, it's a big call to make because people might raise their eyebrows at that, or certain people, especially the more old school managers, might see that as a moment of weakness or something. But you know, that's not the age we're living in now. People are more clued up on psychology and dealing with players as people, as well as they're not robots. You know, they're human beings with emotions and problems and things. So for the fact that he was allowed by the club to do that, and the fact that he felt comfortable doing that and could then come back into the team, and you're seeing that he's benefited from it now, which can only be a good thing, because I think it was a tough move for him. There was a lot of money involved in that transfer. There was a lot of pressure. He'd come from a club where, you know, he was fully integrated into the system and was playing with, you know, players like Haaland and people like that who were making the game easy for him in a way. So it's hard to come into a club like United, who, you know, when he joined you guys, I don't think you'll mind me saying, when he joined you, you were a bit in turmoil. There wasn't really a cohesive plan there. And he had to try and fit into something that he didn't really, or no one really knew what was going on, kind of thing. And, you know, now he's playing in a team that has more of a deliberate framework with how Ten Hag sets you up, and more of a game plan, and with The team looks good at the moment. It looks like it's a well-oiled unit right now. It looks like the players understand each other, which is one of the reasons why Rashford's in the form he's in.
Stop talking.
Neil, we could hear. Oh, there he does. It's so funny. He came on while you were talking, and I was like, it was dark. You could see a part of him, but you could see he had to turn the lights on where he was.
Well, I had the lights on. I don't know why the video doesn't have any light.
I was like, what? It would be funny if he just spoke in the dark for the rest of the podcast. It'd just be hilarious. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, Sancho, you're getting the best out of him and you're getting the best out of other players because Ten Hag's put a framework in place and he's put, clarity into their minds about what you're doing. And that, that's what players thrive off. That's the environment that gets the best out of players. Because there's consistency and a consistent style of play, even though he is having to rotate a little bit. It seems like he's, everyone knows what they need to do. So, it's fun to watch United right now.
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you something, man. There's just so many things that have happened this season. And I can't believe where we are. And I say that in the best way possible. Like, I can't believe where we are in the same way I can't believe where Liverpool is. You know what I mean? Like, but for, different reasons, And this also goes back to, some of the positive things I want to say about United goes back to some of the things I just said about Graham Potter. Like, Bruno Fernandes has not rested. He plays Europa League games, Carabao Cup games. He plays Premier League games and FA Cup games. He plays every 3 days, bro. Every 3 days. And today, he was one of the potential candidates for man in the match after playing in Barcelona, midweek. And like I was saying, like, good coaches, like, they're not indecisive. They figure out what their squad is, which I feel like, Ten Hag had a better chance of doing that because he could see tapes on United. But, like, if it's still your job to figure that out fast and be decisive and kind of stick to certain things that work and see what the spine of your team is and use that spine. And Bruno is a part of our spine, so he plays consistently. And today we changed up a bunch of things because I guess Varane is he's not young, he's injury prone, and Lindelof actually plays well when he's not next to Maguire. He like today, I feel like he had a really good game. And you put him next to Martinez or put him next to Varane, you'd be like, where did we get this new player from? Like, he doesn't look like Lindelof who plays next to Maguire. He looks really good. And then I guess Casemiro is still suspended, right? I think, is that the red card? Where did he get that card in what game? So he couldn't be in the midfield. So it was Sabitzer and Fred. Fred, who is like, he's Jekyll and Hyde in the same game. He's Jekyll and Hyde from pass to pass. You know what I mean? Like he'll get the ball. Like he almost lost us the game, and then literally helped us win the game in the same game today. That pass to Rashford for the second goal, like, that's all Fred. But there's so many times he coughed up the ball in the worst position. He even got them a really good free kick after he lost the ball, and one of our players, Sabitzer, had to foul the guy at the top of the box. And we set up a terrible wall, but their free kick went right into the wall. So, Fred gets, it was a frustratingly good game. I love how, you like Sancho scoring today, like a person who's not a United fan, because the story of Sancho and how the advancements in the understanding of mental health in football and not seeing athletes as just these robots. Like if you get paid, then you should be able to play. There should be nothing wrong with you. And then how the situation was handled. So, yeah, and we didn't have Sancho available, even though we don't think it was an injury. But it's unprecedented what Ten Hag did with him during the time he was going through what he was going through. When we needed, we had the Ronaldo trouble, Martial was injured a lot, and our coach was like, I don't want to win that bad that I want to ruin this guy for the rest of his career. I'd rather and there's players watching this and be like, I can fuck with this guy. Like, I may not even be that good of a player, but I'm going to give my best for this guy that did this for this guy that I like. Because I know that, that's loyalty. And players know they're in a game where there ain't that much loyalty, And that's like, oh, this guy is genuine. He wants to win and he pushes us, but he cares about us. And I know he cares about us because of how he treated Sancho. So I'm going to give my all for this guy. You know what I mean? So I can trust this guy. So that just helps. That just helped to build us team-wise even more and make people not want to shrink for this under pressure, because this guy did this for one of our players and will do it for me. So I'm gonna play above my level that I've been playing all these years before he got there. So that probably helped the whole team, not just Sancho, And there could have been several United players of the match today. Like De Gea in the first half, he was definitely the player of the first half. Rashford, second half, could have been player of the. Well, when he scored the goal, it definitely changed how Leicester City was seeing the game, because they definitely were in control of that game before he scored, and they frustrated us. It's like when the game started, we started fast because they started fast. So we started fast to let them know, no, we are ready for this game. So then for the first 10 minutes, we were in control. But then they got into the shape where we couldn't even pass through them. And we had to keep going backwards and trying to go around them. Then they wouldn't let us come around wide. And then we'd feel the pressure, and then we'd give the ball to them. And then there was a moment in this game when they took the ball and started passing it around their back. And it was the first time that they had the ball all game. And once they got comfortable passing around the back, then they started going down our right and having success in creating multiple chances that they could have put in the net. And that's why De Gea could have been the man of the match for the first half, because he saved some really good chances that Leicester City created. And then Bruno playing out of position on the right. He's getting used to that position. The first time he played there, he stunk. And it's tough for a guy who's doing good as a 10 to be put in a position where he's going to stink. But now he's getting used to it, and he doesn't stink there no more. So then he gets the assist to Rashford, boom, and we score. And then all the players go in the locker room in the post-game interview. Ten Hag said they knew they weren't playing good. And he makes the change right away. And he brings in the guy that he gave time to heal mentally, puts him in at 10, as a 10, puts Weghorst in as a 9, and moves Rashford out to the left, sits Garnacho down. They shut down the left-hand side where all the problems were coming down. And then, because of the technical ability of Sancho, we were able to hold on to the ball. And man, that football flowed like aged wine. I was like, this is a different team. I was like, they played some beautiful ass ball, to the point where McTominay came in. He just was flowing too. He ain't even played in a while. I don't think he made a misplaced pass. So we just looked beautiful out there, and we created those other chances and got those 2 other goals. And Sancho, him scoring, it's just, I think the England likes Sancho. People who are not fans of United love the story of this guy. like scoring, because you can identify a lot of people have mental issues, and that's how they would love to be treated at their work or just in their life or by their family. And to see, it's almost like proof to them, like, see, could you do this for me too? So him succeeding like validates a lot of people who are not even United fans. So I think that's it's just a beautiful thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how people who are not United fans from other teams or just any walk of life feel about Sancho, because I feel like there's some connection that they have with him because of his situation and the success now that he's having. And he also plays better. It's funny, him and Garnacho, they both play better when they don't start the game. They both probably want to start the game, but whenever they come off the bench and sub each other out, they both play better because they've been watching the game. They figure out what the one was doing wrong and what they could do right, and then they jump in and they do it. Plus with the instructions from Ten Hag. But yeah, man, like to beat Leicester, a team that's been on a good run lately and been putting balls in the back of the net, like you said, they have a devastating. Like unlike all the other teams in the league that might be underperforming, these guys can score. Like you see what they did to Spurs last week and the team the week before. They can score. They dangerous. So it's just I was fist bumping on the flight. You know what I mean? Like it's like the people are like, "What is he watching?" Like, what movie is that? I don't have that movie in my thing. So yeah, I just enjoyed the win, and I watched 60 minutes of it on the plane, and then 10 minutes of it in the parking lot of a Starbucks, and then I drove home and watched the rest of it. And it's a good win for United, and yeah, we're third right now, and I never would have guessed that. So it's just good.
And you're third and not that far away.
Don't start, Neil. Don't start, bro. Not that far away from what? From finishing in the top 4?
I mean, there's 14 games left. Soon we're gonna be in the last 10 games of the season. So
Yeah, that's how math works. Yeah. What are you saying?
What I'm saying is you're not that far away, not just to catching up. Like you're not that
from
far
finishing
away
in the top 4.
From even the finishing line. Like you only got to sustain yourself at this rate for a little while more.
Man, we ain't trying to hear that, bro.
All right, what stage do you want to hear that though? Last 8 games.
Listen. I am fully aware of what you're saying. Yeah. I'm just trying not to jinx it, and then also, I don't want to also fall into obnoxious fan territory. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'd rather just my plan is to.
That's when I can still say it though.
Yeah. You can still say it, and then I'll just pretend you're out of your mind as my plan to not jinx it, and then so this is the game we're going to be playing if we continue to win. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. We talked about
I figured
Chelsea. So you joined at the perfect at a perfect
we didn't think
time.
you were coming, so we got into
it.
We got right into that, bro. So how are you feeling personally about Potter being your coach? Like you said some things, but you're a Chelsea fan. You're a real Chelsea fan. You know everything about the club. You know all the stats. You even was talking this week about like Kai Havertz, like he's in the running for the most big chances missed. And then you discovered that Haaland is actually the player with the most big chances missed, but it goes undetected because he's scored so many goals. He actually went ahead of Havertz again this week with those 2 shots he took right in front of the Keylor Navas in the Nottm Forest game. But how are you feeling? And what's the base saying? I know you check in with the base, the fans. So
the base, as you can imagine, is a little toxic right now. it's that time in our fruit cycle with the manager where we're kind of ready for the new guy.
So, damn.
But I mean, again, like, I don't want to. Yeah, for me, like my stance on Potter always has been like, I feel like this season is gone anyway. So I don't see the big hurry in sacking him.
Mm-hmm.
But the progression you would like to see in, like, at least being nudged into some positive frame of mind with Potter, that's really not happening. It's always like one step forward, two steps back with, with the team right now. So, I mean, I know what's the right thing to be done here, but it's just never going to happen. Like, I would make that call to Thomas Tuchel right now.
We thought that's what you were doing.
Say your apologies. Say your apologies, swallow your pride and get him back, because, he was sacked prematurely. He deserves another go with this team. And he might not like all the guys who you bought in the time that he was gone, but there's definitely a few of them who I could see, would be good for his style. But I guess that's just to, dream territory, and it's never going to happen. So
Todd Bowley's probably home in the mirror practicing his speech. Hey, girl, what's going on? I can't call him girl. Could I speak to Mr. Tuchel? I can't call him Mr. Tuchel. Thomas! Hey, it's Todd. Yeah, hello, Thomas. He hung up again.
They've tied themselves into a really big bind here, because I didn't realize Potter's, because he signed that long contract, his payout is also 60 million. So
they got it.
So we paid out Thomas Tuchel to leave. Then we paid Brighton to release Potter early. And now we're staring at a big payout, because I'm really not seeing how this is going to turn out. So turn around.
Maybe you could pay him out over 10 years like you do the players.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be as charitable. It's easier to do that with people coming into the club, because they have some sort of buy-in. Not that easy when somebody, you're kicking somebody out of the door. So I think we're stuck with him, and therefore I still do hope that he does well.
Right, you got next weekend, right?
It doesn't really matter, does it? Like, we're looking at Southampton, who were bottom of the league, just sacked their manager, and they were a more well-prepared unit than us, apparently.
No offense, bro. But you know who you're playing next week. It's so funny. It's you do?
Spurs, right?
Spurs, yeah. So yeah. Martin's joining next week if you lose that. There's no way he's not gonna miss the opportunity to get his.
It's so funny because I feel like the owners are gonna double down and not make a change. But I don't know if this happens in American sports as much, that if the fans in the stadium make as much of a expression of displeasure, because there were boos at Stamford Bridge at both halftime, and then immediately as the final whistle blew, it was a huge cacophony of boos. But then, and that's only if we lose to Spurs, it's gonna be there again. If we get kicked out of the Champions League, losing to Dortmund, it's gonna be there again.
When do you play Dortmund again?
In midweek, right after the Spurs game.
Right, so not this week.
Not this week.
After.
Yeah, there's 1 week off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why he did this rotation thing.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
like,
bro.
Dude, forget what they're telling you. Your job is on the line. That's what makes me think that he doesn't actually believe his job is on the line.
He's naive. Is he
naive, or has he got some like?
He's used to the pace of Brighton. Like in Brighton, when they say your job is not on the line, like when he got hired for Brighton, like they fired a guy that kept them up, and then he wanted to instill this good-looking style of football, and they didn't even look good for most of their games. And I was like, why'd you fire your only black coach in the league for this guy? Because the team. But incrementally they were getting better. You couldn't see it until
it took a long time.
Happened. It took a long time. So then he when he was told that before, they meant it. And those fans, they're not used to like the legacy of a Chelsea. So those Brighton fans like, all right, this is fine. We're in the league, so it's fine. This don't look great, but all right. They say this guy is good and we should believe in him. So there was for no reason for them to believe in it. There was no reason for them not to believe in him. The same way there's no reason for Chelsea fans to believe in him now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just he has to make the adjustment and say, I'm at Chelsea. I have to get results. This is like Ten Hag. He's like, I'm at Man United. I know that United didn't do great this year, last year, or the year before, but the fans, if he don't win, we wouldn't like him. The fact that he came in and he's like, I don't care. We're gonna win. And we're here to win every game. And he tries to win every game. And he wins most of them. That's why we like him. That's why fans like coaches. Not because like Liverpool is like the only team where they genuinely really like their coach. Because nobody is really screaming for Klopp. Maybe there are some people to get fired.
No, but it's also because Klopp was on that side of the cycle, right? Where the club had done nothing for such a long time, and then Klopp made them win. So he has so much credit in the bank.
And part is the opposite. The club has done so much without him, and then he comes in and he's bringing them down. He's like, we didn't hire you.
It's not just Potter, right? Like the owners are kind of also on trial because the fans are used to winning and have a lot of like these, decisive actions in terms of managers being taken under the previous manager and under the previous ownership. And this time they've made a change where the fans didn't want, and now it's not working. Usually in Chelsea's case, when you change a manager, it works. This time they've changed the manager and it's just not working. So yeah, there were Thomas Tuchel banners at the bridge again.
Oh dear.
The ultimate.
Yeah,
that's the ultimate insult. Let's talk about Newcastle, Liverpool. Liverpool, the week before, they beat Everton, but they beat Everton, a team that was at the bottom of the table. It was a derby. The game was at Liverpool. Liverpool had on a bad run, but you could see from the bench clearing brawl that they almost had that some of their players were going to be back for this game because you saw them on the bench. Van Dijk was in the thick of it. So okay, he's healthy. And so-and-so's there too, so-and-so's there too. So okay, they're getting their players back. And then this game, Newcastle versus Liverpool, is at Newcastle. Newcastle's been either punching above their weight or maybe this is their weight. We'll know which one of these statements is true by the end of the season based on where they end up. But Newcastle, like Liverpool, would pay to have the season that Newcastle is having right now. And they would have never has made this statement at the beginning of the season. And you're going to know, you figure it's going to be tough for Liverpool to beat Newcastle at Newcastle with the results that Newcastle have been pulling in and the money that they got in Eddie Howe and what he's been doing with these boys. But let me tell you something, this match was over in 21 minutes, which is an amazing time on your stopwatch when you consider how Liverpool's season is going. And it wasn't over for Liverpool, it was over for Newcastle. 21 minutes. In 21 minutes, Gakpo had scored, Darwin Núñez had scored, Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold had made 2 amazing through passes. And then I think it was Gomez or Matip, long ball to Salah and Pope, who had been coming out of his goal since the beginning of the match, came out again, mishandled the ball, red card, off the pitch, 21 minutes. And then the game actually started for Newcastle after 21 minutes, because that's when they started applying pressure. And that's when they started playing good. And Liverpool scored when Newcastle had 11 men on the pitch. They did not score when Newcastle only had 10 men on the pitch. I think there was points in the game where Liverpool said, "Hey man, could we give them back their extra man because we played them better with 11 men?" Like, but it's kind of a easy game for Liverpool, but not really because Newcastle kind of stepped up when they had 10 men on the pitch and the game seemed to be over. And I guess Liverpool kind of lost their incentive to play because that kind of helped too. But good for Liverpool, I guess. And they're not that far back from the top four. Let me see how many points. They got 35 points. Tottenham has got 42 and Tottenham is fourth. So they're just 7 points away despite the type of season they have. Did any of you guys get a chance to check out this game and have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm we don't get the 3 o'clock games here, or sorry, this one was a late one, wasn't it? It was this is the evening game.
Yes, I think it was the last game on Saturday.
I had 2 shows Saturday and I didn't see the game live, but I sort of checked Twitter now and again in between sets and stuff, and when I've seen that Pope had been sent off and Liverpool were 2-0 up in 22 minutes, I assumed the sending off came first.
Right.
Because normally normally Newcastle were really solid.
Right.
So I thought, oh, he's probably got sent off, and then Liverpool scored 2 goals against 10 men. But no, I mean, credit to Liverpool, because like you say, there were 2 really well-crafted goals that they scored. Some really good supply to the front players, and Gakpo 2 in his last 2 games now. Salah was looking a lot more lively. That pass was great to get him in, and it's just Nunez has been missing chances recently in games, so he took that one. He didn't mess around with that. So I mean, Liverpool look like they're coming back, and we said after the Everton game, because there was the question, are Liverpool back? And I said, they've got Newcastle next. We'll find out a lot more there, and I think they answered that question, that they're definitely on the way. Real Madrid midweek this week, going to be a big test there as well, and I don't know if they're going to have to rotate at all, but I mean, they're certainly going into that game in better shape than they were a few weeks ago. So it'll be really interesting. They're breathing down the necks now. They're level on points with Brighton, just looking at the table. Level on points with Brighton, and played the same amount of games as well. So they could be leapfrogging Brighton soon. They're still, 6 points behind Newcastle, but with a game in hand. 7 points behind Tottenham with 2 games in hand. So it's doable. They're in that position. They're there. So I wouldn't put it past them. I think they've got the players to put a run of form together. If Salah can maintain something approaching his best form, if Nunez is now going to start taking some chances, if Gakpo's settled, if they start being a bit more consistent in the midfield now. And I love the way Bajcetic just rolled and received that ball in the build up to the Gakpo goal, I think it was, when one of the defenders played it to him, and he sort of had someone on his shoulder pressing him, and he just sort of leaned into them and rolled and controlled it and just came away with the ball. He looks a really, really impressive talent for someone his age. I think he's only 19, and he sort of plays with a calmness. To play as a centre midfielder in the Premier League at such a young age and look comfortable is a real big thing, and he definitely looks that, and Liverpool need him right now, because that's, like we've said so many times before, that's the area of the pitch where they're weakest, it seems, at the moment. So the fact that he has come in as a young talent and added to what they've already got in that position has really helped them, and I was really impressed with him, and I've been really impressed with him the last few weeks. Even when they've not been playing that well, he's actually looked one of their stronger players. So that's definitely a big plus for them. So I mean, top 4 is definitely not out of reach for them.
It's pretty we'll see. We've seen Liverpool do this before when all their defenders were injured, and they took until like the last game of the season to fight their way back into the top 4, and the goalkeeper helped by scoring in the way that Martinez did not help Villa, this week. So yeah, man, this team got some fight in them, and they can do math. And I'm sure if they look at the table, they'll be like, "Oh man, let's do this. Let's get back into this." And nothing would be more validating than winning a trophy. You know what I mean? And when I say a trophy, I don't mean the league, but who's to say this won't do something to inspire them to do something in the Champions League? But I gotta say, they gotta win more for me before I completely believe in them right now. Like, I'm not gonna take this 2-game win streak and go Liverpool. But yeah, all right. This is still interesting, man. This is nothing like if you're at the bottom of the table, like you're not really at the bottom of the table because we've done this type of math before. Like Southampton has 18 points, but 2 wins could get them to 13th if my math ain't atrocious, or to
14th.
14th.
Depending on
so
the results.
that's a significant amount of spaces. And then if you're like 3rd or 4th, you could get caught by the team that's 8th or 9th. So we'll see, man. This is not set in stone. Is there anything you want to talk about coming up this week in these games, or anything about the games today, Neil? It doesn't have to be Chelsea centric. Oh, we forgot to do Tottenham West Ham.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting that both Tottenham and Liverpool are like putting some results together, because those were the teams I always felt were most likely to benefit from Newcastle if they drop some points. And now all of that is happening. Like Newcastle's dropping points, Tottenham winning, Liverpool winning. So yeah, I think Liverpool are very close to getting to that top 4 fight, because they, as Lee said, that they have 2 games in hand and they're like about 6 or 7 points away. So and they now have their players back. They're getting clean sheets. So I would actually watch out for Liverpool. I still think that they can end the season really strong.
Right. And then we'll just mention Tottenham beat West Ham. They should beat them. They have more quality, and the first half was like evenly matched, but not in a bad way. In a what do they call that in chess when is it not checkmate, because in a stalemate kind of way, like they both kind of canceled each other out. Like they kind of both were playing the same type of game against each other, and the game was stuck in the middle of the pitch. But it was still intriguing. But in the second half, we all know there's one half that Spurs is going to play better than another half that they play in, and they stepped it up in the second half. They created multiple choices, and those 2 goals were coming. And then they put Son on off the bench, and he got one of the goals. And I forgot who scored the first goal. It was
Emerson Royale.
Emerson Royale. Yeah, they just moved more. Like they all the backs came into play, and they got to the middle of the pitch and passed to each other and put that ball in the back of the Emerson's. Man, if only Havertz had finishing like that, it's crazy.
He was calm on that goal, Emerson Royale, as well. He just passed it into the net.
Yeah, he acted like he'd done that a million times.
It was interesting as well because it was Ben Davies who was playing at left wing back who set him up. So it was left wing back and right wing back getting up the field and combining on the edge of the box to score the goal.
Yeah, it's the movement that they needed that was missing from the first half, and it just caught West Ham off guard. But a lot of stuff that Spurs did in that second half caught West Ham off guard. Like they created like it was a different game, and they created some really good chances. Kulusevski missed a good opportunity. Kane missed a good opportunity, and then they created other opportunities besides the goals that they did score. So Spurs definitely deserved that one, and they were at home. And West Ham, yeah, man, they're in the bottom three, right?
Yeah, I think they're third bottom with us and Leeds below them.
That'd be crazy if they go down. They got too much quality to be there. Yeah, it'd be crazy. What were you going to say about Champions League? Because I pulled it up.
We got 4 games this week. I think it's 2 Tuesday, 2 Wednesday. Obviously, Liverpool Real Madrid is the biggest one on there. It's last year's final. So I think that's the one everyone will be watching. Man City are playing Leipzig on Wednesday, and like Leipzig are the sort of team where if you're not on it, they'll punish you. They'll find something, and I feel like the Champions League though is the one that Pep really wants to win this season. I think he always wants to win the league, and he cares about the league, but I think it hurts him that he's not been able to win a Champions League anywhere other than Barca. And I feel like, especially this season when Man City are under a lot of pressure off the field as well as on the field, I think he'll be going all out for making sure they progress in these games. And then the other 2 games are Frankfurt versus Napoli. Napoli probably be the favourites there because they're just a crazy informed team right now. Omishen's scoring for fun. The Georgian winger they've got, whose name I struggle to pronounce, he's unreal right now. And then Inter Porto is the other game as well.
Let me ask you something about Omishen. Like, do you think he could thrive in the Premier League? Because we get linked with so many players, so we're definitely linked with him. And they link him, they talk about over 100 million pounds, dollars, euros. But I don't want some player from a league that's not we have bad players that didn't do well on our squad, who are also old, who are thriving in Syria. Not just thriving, they won leagues. Like Darmian, like Ashley Young.
Smalling's doing well.
Smalling's doing well. He won something. He won the
Conference League.
Conference League. Yeah, and it's like, so that just tells me this league is not as good as our league right now. Everything is cyclical, so that's fine. But Osimhen, it's like that's a trap almost to me.
It's a weird one because I think he is a very, very good player, and he's proven it in France as well. He played really well for Lille before he got the move to Serie A. So he's done it in France, he's done it in Italy, which they're 2 leagues where you still got to be good. He's scoring at a rate that I don't think he would score at in the Premier League. But I think he's only 24 years old still, so he's got so much potential as well. And working with a good coach could elevate him even further as well. Not that he's not working with a good coach right now, but working with, a coach of even higher quality. But I don't think he's necessarily worth the money that is being quoted.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Like, I don't think he's worth going and spending 120 million on or something insane like that. So, I think, good player. Could he score that many goals in the Premier League? I don't think he'd score as many as he scored this season, but I think he'd still be fairly prolific. He would certainly improve Chelsea's team right now.
Oh, shit. Jesus Christ.
It's finally a big Drogba fan too, so get him in.
Get him in.
No, I will say this though about Osimhen, as you said, that you don't really know how much a lot of these players, when they come in from other leagues, how easily is it going to be for them to translate that success in the Premier League? There are certain things, I feel like a lot of these players, when they come in, physically they struggle to adapt. But somebody like Osimhen, that probably shouldn't be a problem because his physicality is one of his strengths. He has the hang time of somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo, to speak. And some of the goals that he scored this season, it's just incredible how he managed to like beat the defense and the keeper and gets his header with the power. So yeah, he might have a better chance than most.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he does, especially if like I don't want to spend that money on him. Like I'd rather spend that money on like a midfielder like Declan Rice, or still maybe get a homeboy from Barcelona, and I feel like we could figure it out on the forward line, you know, because we have Diallo at Sunderland doing good, you know. So it's like, or you know, I don't want to say the name, but like depending on how the United's review, you know, checking out his case goes and his rehabbing, because he has to go to some type of therapy and rehabbing and prove to people that, you know, he deserves to like play for us again, you know. So the name,
I think some team in the Premier League will go for Osimhen though, because if you just look at Man City, right, like all the other teams, they're so far behind them in terms of goals output that if you're looking to challenge Man City in the next couple of years, you have to somehow address that gap. Because I mean, you see like the last couple of seasons, last season they didn't even have a striker, still they scored so many goals. So you will have to, like all competing teams, I think rival teams will have to address it in some form.
Is it going to be Newcastle because they got Isaac, Callum Wilson?
No, Newcastle are way off. They almost have half the goals as Man City right now. So
they might.
So the closest is Arsenal, and even they are like 9 goals away.
Right. Right. On a sadder note, I want to give a shout out to Christian Atsu and his family and friends. I didn't want to forget to do that. They found his body and he didn't make it. But hey, man, thanks for everything, bro. Appreciate you. And I hope all the loved ones and friends, everyone whose life you touched, gets through this tough moment. And you know,
crazy. Apparently, he was gonna take a vacation or you know, the game before or something like that. But then he stayed on. He played well in that game, and I don't know if these reports are true, but he apparently had a flight out that night, the night before the quake. But because he did so well at that game and he scored a winner, a 95th minute free kick winner, he decided to just stay on and, you know, train more and be ready for the next game. Yeah, it's really sad, the circumstances around.
Yeah, and also for like just all the people in Syria and Turkey who are going through this right now. You know, this like it's just rough. So if any way you guys want to try to help them out, you know, please do. And I think something else bad happened that I couldn't remember. I remembered it earlier. Can't remember it now. I'll probably definitely remember once I get off the pod. That's how my brain works. It doesn't. But yeah. And then right after that, I mean, just want to, if I got some shows coming up in Brooklyn at the Bell House. I'll be in Houston this week on Thursday. I'll be at the DC Improv in March. Dead Crow, I think that's in North Carolina. It's in one of the Carolinas. I can't remember if it's North or South. And I'll be at the Comedy Store in La Jolla in May. Check the link in the bio. All the dates on
when
here.
In May?
Oh, like I think 9th, because what's his name just hit me up.
Damn.
Yeah. That's when you're going to India?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Yeah, that India trip is on. That's when it's on. Damn.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah, I just got that this week. So yeah, and so go to Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic and check the link in the bio. You guys got anything you want to plug before we bounce? Thanks for joining, Neil. I know this can't be easy.
The burning embers of the Graham Potter era.
We thought when you came on, half those bottles behind you would be empty. That's why you left the lights out.
No, I kind of have accepted the way things are. So
I'm not even in the mood to brag about the result. I'm just relieved more than anything that our season might still be alive.
Yeah, if you guys stay up, you owe a great deal of debt too, because like that's 6 points against one club.
What was you guys did a crazy thing, and you did some crazy math, a percentage math in the chat. What is that? 6 points.
Yeah, I mean we've got 18 points this season, and 6 of them have come from Chelsea, so that's a third of our points this season
from the Chelsea Red Cross donation
have come
center?
just from Chelsea's donations. Yeah, we appreciate their generosity in these tough times.
Happy to help always.
and then this is the simplest stat I've ever come up with, because I don't come up with stats. But what's the name of your interim coach, Lee?
Ruben Sellers.
Ruben Sellers has the same amount of wins as Graham Potter this year, 2023, in just one game. Compared to how many games Potter had this year? Maybe 10 or 11. So
yeah,
that's
just crazy, because like
also,
yeah, you're right.
Also Marcus Rashford has more goals in all competitions than Chelsea has in the Premier League this year. So you definitely got a scoring problem.
It used to be Haaland, and now it's Rashford, and soon it's going to be Kane, and then it's just like individual strikers every week are going past us.
Darwin Núñez is going to have more goals and more missed big chances than Chelsea has goals soon. Boy. Yeah. So, hey man, y'all gonna have to have like a, Indians used to do a rain dance. We might have to figure out like some type of goal dance, like to end this drought. You're going through a biblical drought right now.
Yeah, we haven't scored more than 1 goal in 10 games.
Jeez.
And we haven't scored more than 2 goals in like, I think 20.
Nkunku should feel completely comfortable next year, because he'd be like, what pressure do I have? This team scored no goals last year. Let me add him.
Also, Nkunku's going to come from playing with Werner at Leipzig, so he knows what it's like playing with somebody who doesn't score. Although he probably is scoring now.
Yeah, he can also practice with Man City in Champions League to see if he can deal with the Premiership pace. Is some of the top opposition he'll be facing this week. Anything you guys want to plug? Lee, when do you get here?
I get a Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So yeah, Thursday night or Thursday afternoon I arrive. Got a few shows the first few days, so I'll be posting those on my socials. But the first one's with Don't Tell in Venice Beach on the Friday. I'm up at Flappers in Burbank on the Saturday. I'm at the Lyric Hyperion on Tuesday night for a show.
Oh, that's cool.
And then straight after, over to the store for Roast Battle on Tuesday night. So they're the bits I've got booked in so far. Hopefully can pick up some more stuff once I get out there as well. But yeah, those are the bits I've managed to get from managing to contact people in advance. So yeah, I'm looking forward to them. There's some fun stuff in there. That's it's always enjoyable doing stuff elsewhere outside of the usual environment. So yeah, if anyone's in the area, come through. If you are someone who listens or watches this and comes to a show, then say hi.
Yeah, those are good shows. Like the Lyric Hyperion recently just reopened, and like as a full-on comedy club. So
I've heard it's really different now.
With Kojo.
Nice.
They say it's different, but it felt the same to me. Like when I walked in there, they said they reconstructed the place, and I was like, this looks like the same. But
they recreated the space.
They've put tables, haven't they? Because it used to be a big floor space stage.
Yeah, that's what they did. So there were no tables; it was just chairs, and like in theater style. And now they put tables and said we we renovated. No, it's just tables, bro.
Literally, we shuffled the deck chairs.
And a little stage
Yeah,
area.
Yeah. So it's pretty much the same. So they just, you know, we renovated the ice house. The ice house just opened. You got to go up there and check it out. I'm gonna go up there and check it out too. So some friends of mine, I just had lunch with them today. They were at the ice house this weekend, and they said it's pretty fantastic. And like one of the Bus family, somebody from the Bus family who owns the Lakers, is like they pulled a reverse Todd Bowley. Instead of going overseas to own a soccer team, they went to Pasadena and bought a comedy club. And so probably the oldest comedy club in America, the Ice House.
Yeah, because I used to love
renovated.
I used to love the old Ice House. I went there a couple of times on my previous visits, and it was both rooms there were really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure it's even better now.
Yeah, I can't wait to go up there and check it out. I might go up there this week. Yeah. So yeah. So we talk some comedy, some soccer, and all right, guys. Thanks for joining, Neil. You know, Lee, congrats. You won. Martin, wherever you are, you won. And you know, we'll see what happens midweek with these Champions League games. We'll be back on Thursday. Everybody take care of yourself. Be good. Love everybody. One.
Right. Good morning.